The Bushiroad strategy presentation just dropped a bunch of news, so let's go through it. There is some pretty surprising news, and they actually breezed through it real quick. So here are my thoughts on essentially what has been revealed and kind of what is going to happen in the next coming sets. So first off, we have a new Vanguard. So Vanguard Drag Race Rakshasa, that's the English version. I don't actually know what the Japanese name is, but it looks sick. It is, you know, huge iconic cover unit for Divines, Evil Now as well. So this is really cool. I really love the art. It's very Murakumo-like, but it more so kind of amplifies how sick Vaga is, right? So yeah, no, I guess like indication of any masks or anything. I think a lot of people were like speculating on Nao's hair accessory, thinking that was the mask. But yeah, who knows? Maybe like this is a new way to use masks or something. But yeah, this is just me spitting out random thoughts. But here we are, a new Vaga Grade 3 released in set 5. Very cool. And then obviously, as you can see, it is kind of paired with the new Razel as well. Lots of new great things, and you know, pretty much if you pull this, you're like, you know, in the monies, right? Then further news, the set 5 set will have 3-pack arts. So Liel, Odium, the new Razel, and Vaga Drag Race, the new version, which is pretty cool. Really like how they do alternating pack arts similar to like Pokemon and other TCGs, which is cool. They also revealed a bunch of information on the, it's like a collab set, and the most important thing is actually this slide. So the grade 1 is a different skinned Shenri. So this is huge because it shows that Bushiroad has the capabilities to make reprints in alternate art, right? And I think this is a good start on how they can reprint stuff in alternate art. I think there's a lot of discussions like, oh man, I really wish we had like the Gun Cyclers, the Stride Dragons reprinted, right? And imagine if they put it all into a set. And I think I tweeted this on X just before the strategy presentation. Imagine if they had a whole set of like a bunch of cyclers, all of the Regalis pieces, all of the expensive stuff, all just alternate art. Imagine that, right? And this is an indication that they can do that, yeah? The OT is actually the blue OT, so it does for us, and it's in Buddy Fight art. So Buddy Fight was part of the Korokoro magazine, so them bringing back Buddy Fight is pretty cool too, incorporating it into Vanguard, right? So Shenri with new art looks really cool. I think this art is very comical, and you know, such to say that this is, you know, how it's supposed to be, right? Then other news, this is probably the biggest news in the whole stream, right? G units are coming back in the booster set. This is huge, right? So we have Kronos Command Dragon as well as Trans-Else Messiah. This is the Fighters Collection card that I think it's like it locks unlocked cards and it unlocks locked cards. So it reverses it, right? The fact that these two are coming in booster sets is pretty much reminiscing how it was back in G era days. And this is massive because as sets release, right? One of my thoughts at the start of like Overdress was, you know, they're putting in the standard format, they're playing premium, right? 2 formats separately, and then they have V. V's now gone, and ideally, right, is there a way to combine both of them together, right? So this is the first start. This is the first start of where Strides are in the booster set, and as you know, every single clan gets their own Stride deck set. So GC's got one, Link Joker's got one, Pale Moon, Grand Blue, they've got one. Now they need to release one for like Neo Nectar, you know, Kagero, Shirunui's got one now. So pretty much once they release all 24 clans, right, then they slowly start to introduce G Guardians in between that, right, as a new mechanic in standard. So obviously these Stride deck sets are, you know, significantly higher power than a lot of the other stuff. You know, when you're playing just normal grade 3s, start to introduce G Guardians, which is like, you know, your defensive mechanics in the game, and then eventually they're going to merge the two formats together, and then we have premium as, you know, the whole standard, you know. But yeah, it's just a dream of mine. I said it at like the start of Overdress, but who knows what's going to happen. But this is really cool. The fact that they are introducing strides, I'm hoping to see like new Nubatama strides, new Grand Blue, Pale Moon strides in sets next year. I think that is very, very cool to see. So yeah, the best news dropped this whole stream. Yeah. Then they introduced something called, well, it's like a 10th anniversary since G started, and it's pretty cool that they're releasing Chronos Command and Transal's Messiah as like a 10-year anniversary since G started. So G started in 2014, and they redrew Chrono and Ibuki, and apparently they're using this art somewhere. So yeah, we'll get more information later on. So yeah, pretty cool. Maybe they drop like a 10th anniversary set that is exclusive to standard with strides and G Guardians. That'd be cooking, you know? That'd be very, very cool. Then we have the dates for the Deluxe National Finals and World Finals. So this is pretty glaring. So the National Finals, day 1 will be the 30th of November, and then day 2 will be the 1st of December. And then the Worlds for Deluxe is actually in February. So the 15th of Feb. What does this indicate? It indicates that World Finals is actually going to be split this time, which is quite odd. I don't recall. I think the last time they had it split was like ages ago. So this is like the first time in a very, very long time where they've had the World Finals split. I think the last time would have been like 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and then obviously COVID year, right? But it was really cool to have, you know, the JP and the English, you know, the global scene kind of come together and then have like, you know, a world finals together. But the fact that it's split this time, which is, yeah, quite odd because our one is in May. So yeah, very interesting. So that is, I guess, a topic for discussion. Then we also have Dear Days news. And to be honest, I'm not anticipating a lot. Like they released like some, you know, in-game characters and stuff, but this is what caught me, right? So they're releasing older sets as playable sets that are not playable on ranked, so you can play it in like casual matches. So set 1, 2, 3, 4, the first comic booster, set 5, and the first Bermuda booster is available to be played on Dear Days 2. So this is an indication that they can release premium in the game, right? Still gated behind like a $70 price tag. I still don't know if I'll pay. I'm definitely not paying for it if, you know, I'm playing these sets. But, you know, if they get it up to like the latest booster set, you know, then there might be some merit. But anyways, just some copium type moment right here with the booster sets. And then obviously Dear Days 2 will be released on the 30th of January in 2025. Then they also dropped the art for the DSR new Vanguard Drag Race. This is pretty insane. The art is banger, right? Now, obviously, is a very, you know, popular character, and pretty much if you pull this DSR, I think you're like pretty much in for some money. I referenced it as like, this is Vanguard's equivalent to like a Manga Zoro. So if you pack this, you're like pretty much gaming, right? You're selling it, and you know it's gonna be worth heaps of money. So yeah, very cool to see the DSR. And then probably the hottest topic of the day is the ban list. So no changes for Premium and V. They didn't have any tournaments in Japan, but there are 2 restrictions for Standard. So one is Izasawo to 1, which obviously affects Shoujodoji, and then Furai to 1, which affects Shunui. So the 2 biggest, I guess, Dragon Empire decks, right? How does this affect us? So it implements on the 1st of October 2024, it seems. So these decks will be immediately hit, and if it overlaps to the global side, that means that these 2 decks will also be hit for BCS, right? So how does the the Zazua hit kind of affect Shoujo Doji, right? I've played Shoujo Doji, and one of the big problems with the deck is that if you don't find your Ujishi or Ojijishi, or if you don't find your Kinran, like your deck actually slows down heaps, right? You have to start digging for it. If you don't get your pieces, then it's pretty hard, right? And having an on-demand top 5 searcher for that is like really, really strong. It also dims down the early game, because when you ride Shoujo Doji, you top 5, you put 1 to soul, call 1. If you call in a Zazua calls like Ojishi, and then Ojishi, you put like a Kinran behind it, it's like 18, right? 10, 10, 18, or like 10, 18, 18. If you put like another boost on the side or behind the Vanguard or something, it actually becomes really, really annoying, right? So the fact that they have restricted, you know, Izasuo is like, it hits the early game, it hits the consistency of the deck, and to be honest, I was already on the fence of whether I'll bring Shoujo Doji into like a 9-round tournament, and now that this is restricted and it's probably going to lapse into the global side, I'm probably not going to bring Shoujo Doji, just because there's no consistency engine to back up how good the deck is, right? I think overall, the Shoujo Doji game plan doesn't change. It's still the same. You still get, you know, your 6 to 7 multi-attack if you set up well. You draw your Ojishi, your Kinrans, then you're like pretty happy, right? You cycle through your deck with your Kagechika. You still have all your stuff. You still have your unprecedents. It's still, I think, going to be a pretty formidable deck. Then the biggest one is actually Furai. Furai to 1 is huge, right? It means that on first stride, you no longer have 5 attacks, right? Unless you're playing Esperadia. If you're playing Esperadia, your deck becomes a brick. Well, it becomes bricker, right? And then you have to like commit all of these, you know, multi-attackers onto rearguard. But I think one of the biggest problems with this card is that it gains power based on how much you've dominated. Like Esperadia hits for like 18 on first stride. You hit it offensive, you're like pretty good. But now, like, not needing to guard 25 on the first swing is actually very, very valuable. Yeah, you can just drop like a draw trigger, 10k shield, or like, you know, later on in the game, this no longer is available. So if you're using your Seikai, the Seikai has to hit or attack first for like what, 15, 25, and then it increases 30 to 35, not a 35 attack on the first swing. Power level drops, multi-attack pieces drop, which means that the offensive power of this deck becomes drastically lower, especially from the early to mid game. Late game, it doesn't really matter, right? You're still getting like a lot of attacks because you dominate. So I think now with this hit, it really impacts Shunui, and we'll probably see a huge drop in Shunui being played. But that's a good thing, because then it brings other decks up, right? Come January, there'll be Harry and Night Rose. Set 5 is going to be available for BCS as well. Set 4, Leather Dress, you know, Impoldio, other decks to kind of creep up. And then, you know, there are decks that have already stabilized themselves now. Leonorn, Dayusha, a lot of these decks which got gate-kept because Shunui was just so strong, can now be can essentially be played, right? So Furai, good hit. My thoughts is a good hit. Means that other people will actually play other decks, even though people are already playing different decks anyways. But those, you know, who play Shunui and know what Shunui does, like, I'm glad, because I've played my fair share of Shunui, and I'm glad that, you know, Shunui is gone. Touch on Doji, which is completely fine. I think, you know, if it gets more drastic, then we'll probably look at hitting it further. But I think just hitting consistency is great, right? You don't have to hit the whole deck. You hit the consistency, call it a day. Yep. And that is pretty much it for the news from the strategy presentation. I think there will be a little bit more come the Tuesday stream. So hopefully, you know, we get some bang on premium collection, or I don't know, like some super mass introduction of like G Guardian mechanic and standard or something. I don't know, something hopium copium, you know, we'll see on the Tuesday stream. So yeah, if you guys like this video, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of all the news. If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.